Angry Bears fan podcast episode. Let me look that up. While I'm looking that up, like, follow, subscribe. We took a couple weeks, or just like a week and a half off. Not a lot going on. We had the first day of mini camp today. Um, some stuff came out a couple days ago. Caleb kind of addressed, like a week maybe, addressed the book coming out. Kind of what I wanted to just hear. I think they waited a little too long. We're on 111. Wow, so many of these. But yeah, Caleb came out and said, "Hey, my dad's my own guy. Not all that's me. You know what I mean? Sometimes I got to tell him to chill. But he's his own man. But he's also my dad. So kind of like that. I don't know. Like I said, not necessarily what I wanted to hear, but it's water under the bridge at this point. It's been over a year. He's our quarterback. We're locked into him for at least a couple more years. So, like I said, water under the bridge. If you guys have been following us, you know I'm a vibes guy, so I don't like the vibes for that preseason, but we'll see. All the other vibes, all the other signs seem to be pointing in the right direction. So maybe this will just be a little hiccup.
Yeah, you and me have differing opinions on this. I made my expression known during the last episode. I didn't give a fuck. I didn't think he needed to address it at all because, like you said, it's water under the bridge. This stuff happened prior to him being a Chicago Bear. All signs since he has put on the uniform has been that he wants to be here. He said the right things in the media, and in my opinion, he had every right to have his reservations being a Bears quarterback along with his dad. So I had no problem with it to begin with. Hearing him speak at the podium, I will say he needs a team to work with him on his press conferences. He uses way too much in his responses. It just doesn't seem like he the nerves are definitely there. You can tell he's not polished yet at the podium. So I think that's something he needs to work on. But like you were saying, first day of mini camp. I know training camp happened a little while ago. There were some
The
postings, stuff like
rookie,
that.
yeah,
Yeah, Ben Johnson is the real deal when it comes to a coach so far. He's been saying all the right things. You could tell from the clips that him and his coaching staff, all of them, just are completely different from the previous regimes. These guys
that
don't
I
take
would
any
agree.
shit. Eric Bieniemy with the running backs was a breath of fresh air, to see the swear, and it's not just the swearing, you know what I'm saying? It's not just that. It's a
It's just
combination of things.
intensity. I mean, swearing is just
Yeah, it's
they're just words,
the
really.
accountability the accountability is there from the coaching staff. You can hear Ben Johnson talking about saying, "Hey, if you're not getting it right, like he was on Cole Kmet's ass. If you're not going to get it right, then get out. Like we're gonna do this the right way. We're gonna do the, you know what I'm saying." And it's a breath of fresh air to see a coaching staff, like you said, with just such intensity and love for the game, to where they're not trying to be buddy buddy with the players that are on the field. They're there to coach them. They're there to do a job, and so far, the job has been done well. Ben Johnson, Dennis Allen, you know, Eric Bieniemy, Declan Doyle, all those guys. So far, first impressions, first impressions are looking good.
I agree, and we talked about this before. That I mean, we've been lifelong Bears fans. It was a culture issue with the Bears and the bad or the good and the bad, whatever you want to say about the hard knocks last year. We got to see firsthand the Bears really had no culture. Um, we don't expect winning. It was just like just a weird buddy thing where you just saying we're like it just Matty Rules was just very unserious. I think a lot of the people on the team were very unserious. Wasn't a lot of veteran coaching in there. But like you said, Ben Johnson is a very serious guy. We got a lot of ex players on the staff now too, who I imagine are very intense as well. And that's what I was talking about the vibes. That's what the Bears need. We need good vibe where you feel like you're going to win. You're confident. And I think last year, the vibes were bad. And that's why Caleb was. I won't even say it was bad because he was mediocre. But he was a rookie, so mediocre is good, I guess. But the team in general underperformed because the vibes were bad. It was the coaching is just we weren't playing up to our potential. And we need a coach who's going to get us to play beyond our potential. I mean, every NFL
Absolutely.
coach, and I expect honestly and I don't want to get too much on coaches either, because players play at the end of the day. You should be at least mediocre, in my opinion. Like your guys are professionals, you're the best of the best. Coaching it should like take you above and beyond, not like make you worse. Unless I think Caleb's the only person I think can fall into that. I guess you're a quarterback, you got shit going on, you need help more than anybody else, and it's more than any other position. It's a huge change. But I like you were saying, I like what I heard from Caleb. I guess he does need a PR team. I think the Bears were aware of that. That's why I think they held off for a week to probably let him give him some time what he was going to say. But we're ready for football, and like you said, Ben Johnson's on Cole Kmet's ass. There was reports that come out that Ben Johnson actually really likes Cole Kmet. Right after the Colston Loveland signing, he called Cole Kmet, let him know that like this isn't plans to replace you. That I have plans to use both of you. But he's coming out. He made reports, same thing. Komet's great, very smart, high IQ. I don't know if this is a plan to sweeten him up to trade him. You've been pretty adamant you think it'll be a 12 personnel. I just don't know. Ben Johnson did say his offense was going to not be his offense for Detroit, but unique to what the Bears had and what Caleb did well. We will see. We watch the Lions a lot. We play them a lot, and Ben Johnson wasn't really utilizing two tight ends that much. We already got three wide receivers and a receiving back, so it's a lot of mouths to feed. That would be my concern. I don't want to. Cole Kmet makes a lot of money, top 10 tight end money. So him to be an afterthought is kind of not working out for him. But we'll see if they make some moves. If it's Kmet, if it's not, I'm interested in Travis. And we've been talking about that the last few weeks. Maybe there's other people out there to get. Who knows? But minicamp started today. This was day one. Things are looking good. And I'm excited to see more and more each week.
Yeah, we only got about 3 months, man. June, July, August. Preseason football.
Yeah, training camp's done July.
Yep, end of August, preseason football. September, first week of September, we got week 1. So, 3 months and counting, to some real football. You got your end of wave, before like camp starts in preseason. You might see a couple of veterans get signed, brought in, just depending on the positions and everything else like that. I think that's why they're kind of holding off on the veteran running back thing. They're seeing what they got in camp, which is what I figured they would do in the first place, along with a lot of other positions, not just the running back position. They might be trying to figure out what they have at edge. Maybe there's still a move to be made. We right now it's all speculative, but we know what the roster holes are right now, and the biggest lingering one is an edge opposite Montez Sweat. So hopefully some things get figured out there.
I honestly feel like that's really our only. I mean, obviously we could be better in many places.
It's like it's like the biggest glaring hole.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You could use an upgrade at left tackle. You can use an upgrade at running back. But in terms of just glaring needs, that's really the only thing that you could say, hey, we really don't have a lot of depth here. And I would say linebacker too, as well as safety, just depth behind those positions, because
we'll see. You never know. Like Sanborn was
Brisker. Jaquan Brisker is a bit injury prone. Kevin Byard is getting a little old, and then who do you got behind Edmonds and Edwards? You know what I'm saying? You really don't have much behind those guys at linebacker. So the defensive back, the corners, you're pretty deep there. You got a lot of bodies on the offensive line and the defensive line, though there's not a lot of talent depth.
They're saying nice things about Ozzie Tripoli, the left tackle we drafted, right, or whatever the swing. I'm guessing he's swing tackle as of right now, but Braxton Jones still recovering from the ankle injury. Like you said earlier, we could upgrade from him, but he's average to slightly above average at left tackle, so not a glaring need. Obviously, you want the best of the best at every position, and especially at left tackle. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. If Tripoli is the guy, I want a guy that who can get out there and be an upgrade. I like Braxton Jones a lot. I just think he has a tendency to get just bull rushed by really quality defensive ends, and you just can't have that on your left tackle, especially with a young quarterback who one like Caleb, who just is like an improviser. So if you get blown up, then his antennas are up right away, and he's scrambling around and feeling the pressure.
Yeah, and Ozzie's a giant man,
big guy. Yeah, Braxton Jones is on the smaller end, more of an agile. I mean, they're all fucking freaks of nature, but Tripoli's really big, a big guy, a lot of meat on the bones, and I've been defending Braxton Jones a lot, but just like you said, after seeing him in pads, I mean, I'd like to see Ozzy out there with the starters because he is a big guy. He's a massive human being, and nothing. I've always been among the lines of we'll find another spot for Bryson Jones. I think he's a very good offensive lineman. I think just left tackle is a little overwhelming for him. But I'm very excited. The Bears football is finally back. We got a real coach. Anytime I see Ben Johnson on mic, he's just giving me a lot of confidence. What the players are saying about him, just a lot more confidence. Where they're just pointing out how no nonsense he is and how serious it's going to be. And then after hearing all the stuff with Caleb and nobody's watching film with them, and I'm 50-50 on that. Kurt Warner come out and said, "Hey, nobody fucking watch film with me either." Some of this shit they expect you to do. But maybe he did need a helping hand, and that's why I think the coach is where you notice that he needs help, you give him a little guiding hand, and then he'll go and then he'll figure out what his process to watch film on his own is. But it was a little disheartening to see hear Caleb like, oh, nobody's showing me how to watch film. Like, Eberflus isn't on that, Poles isn't on that. Like, I don't know, but seems to stop now. We got the coach, and we're ready. Other sports news: Tom Thibodeau surprisingly fired today. Very weird. I don't know why.
I have no idea what the Knicks are thinking on
I
that. When
think
I
it's a
saw that,
similar thing of what the Bulls thing, where they're complaining about him playing the players too much. But I'm going to come out in his defense. I've watched almost all the playoff games so far. I know you're not so much in basketball as I am, especially not when it's not the Bulls. But I watched every game, and I'm just looking down on the Knicks bench. Who is there to play? The Bulls had a little more of a gripe because we were known for the bench mob, so we had decent guys. So sometimes when Tibbs were playing the starters too much, we kind of were like, "What the fuck? These guys, some of these guys can play. You can put them in there for a little while." Knicks have nobody.
no.
They just had the best season they've had in 20 years. Multiple All NBA players. They were 2 games away from the finals. And they fired Tibbs when they owe him $30 million. I just don't imagine who you're going to get who's going to be an upgrade from him. Like,
Well, and that's funny that you mentioned that too, because I know Sylvie from the Waddle and Sylvie show on ESPN 1000, he had sent out a tweet or something like that suggesting that the Bulls should look into possibly just giving him the keys to the franchise and allowing him to run their front office. And I would not object to that either because the
I
Bulls
don't
front
know. I don't know.
really
I would. I
terrible.
mean, I'd prefer him as the coach. Um, I don't. Who knows if he knows what he's doing in the front office though? I don't. How does that? We'll see. I don't know.
I still
I
cannot
mean, he's
believe
not going to take a job because if he takes a
that's
job,
nuts.
the Knicks don't have to pay him. So I'm assuming you
Yeah,
see him in the
that's
broadcast booth next
to
year.
me that's just nuts.
I don't know what they're thinking. This has happened a few times in the NBA. Budenholzer got fired. Dude from the Suns was a Vogel. Really wasn't. You know what I mean? KD's hurt. Booker's hurt. You fire Vogel. Like, got a shitty roster. And I just think it was like a roster construction issue. Like, you look out at these landscapes of the team. The NBA is different. You got to be deep. You got to be running up and down the court. And the Thunder and the Pacers, if you look at their rosters more so than anybody, they're 9 players deep. They play the new move the ball around, shoot a lot of threes, play good defense basketball, and sometimes they complain about it. But in the playoffs, when they're not calling as many fouls, I find it kind of exciting when these guys are such good 3-point shooters that 15-point leads with a minute 30 to go disappear. You know what I mean? When we were growing up, you were up by 10 with 2 minutes to go, it was game over. And now it's like we've seen the Knicks and the Pacers in particular, and many other teams come back down 20 points with 3 minutes to go, 4 minutes to go, and win the game. But that again, it's very surprising. Tibbs, I don't know what they're thinking. My only guess is they think they could get Giannis maybe, and they're thinking, okay, we'll get a coach that Giannis wants, even though I don't know if Giannis likes or doesn't like Tibbs, but maybe they're like, oh, we go get one of Giannis's assistants or something, or they go and get the guy they just fired, Budenholzer. I don't think Giannis didn't like Budenholzer. I don't know. It's just NBA is very weird. I don't. It's like they teams hold on to guys for no reason, and then they fire coaches. But we'll see. I mean, Tibbs is a hate him or love him. I know a lot of people blame him for the Derrick Rose injury. Who knows? Guys get injured well, not a bad, but he was the best thing the Bulls had since Phil Jackson and the Michael Jordan. And unfortunately, I mean, just looking at the era, he was more important than Derrick Rose was. I mean, Derrick Rose is a great and amazing player, but Tibbs made something out of nothing with some very low talent roster. He created some very good players. Joakim Noah, I don't think anybody ever thought he was going to be what he was. Jimmy
Luol
Butler,
Deng.
nobody ever thought Jimmy Butler was going to be Jimmy Butler. Luol Deng was thought might be a bust the first couple of years that he was in the league. He was like the number one high school prospect, and you know what I mean. He wasn't playing well till Tibbs showed up. So wish Tibbs the best. It was very weird news. Then the Chicago Fire are getting the stadium. I think that the White Sox wanted. They won that they're going to be paying for it themselves. I was just reading the story. It's very crazy to me that Jerry Reinsdorf wanted the city of Chicago to play for a stadium, and because obviously the Sox aren't that good, but it's like what Sox fans complaining about the stadium? What the fuck do we need a new stadium for? Like, what do the Sox need a new stadium for? I think it's just a gripe for him to get out of town, I guess. And it's like at this point, good riddance. I think baseball in itself is dying, and I don't know if any, maybe just New York now, just because they're so good, but I don't know if any city can really maintain having two good baseball teams and or even two baseball teams and root for them. The Sox, when they're good, people
Well,
show up.
with the way that the revenue sharing is and everything else like that in baseball, Chicago is fine having two baseball teams. Same
Well, I
thing
just meant
with.
with the fans. Like, they just don't show up. Like, the fans aren't showing up and showing out.
Well, there's a reason for that too. The reason why the fans aren't showing up and showing out is because the owner is a cheap fucking asshole that doesn't want to spend money on any players. Andrew Benintendi is still the White Sox biggest contract signing ever, and that's like 75 mil spread across 5 years. It's a fucking joke when you have teams like Kansas City and even the Athletics spending $100 million on players. The White Sox
Well,
are
they're
the only.
re-signing their own guys, though, right?
Well,
Just like
yeah,
nobody's going to.
Bobby Witt. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Bobby Witt's re-signed with but that doesn't matter. It
Well, I'm just
doesn't.
saying, like, you can't sign people who don't want to come here.
It's just it's ridiculous. Well, they don't want to come here because the owner doesn't want to put out the money. When you have the history, it's the same thing with the Bulls. Why the Bulls can't attract high-end free agents right now because the tendency and the reputation of the front offices of the White Sox and the Bulls is so bad that no free agents want to come here because of that. You don't see
I
that
kind of
happening.
agree
You
there.
don't
I
you don't
kind
see
of
that
agree there.
happening on the north side. You know what I'm saying? You get premier free agents going to the Chicago Cubs. What's
But
the what's
that's
the fucking
the
difference?
Cubs are. But this is what more I was going to say. The Cubs are like a premier franchise, not only in baseball but kind of like all the sports. Like,
I
so I
understand
think it's
that,
a
but
little easier to get.
The White Sox are still a flagship MLB team. It's not like they're just it's not like they're the fucking Rays, or the Marlins that have been around for 30 years or whatever the case
Well,
may be.
and I'm agreeing with the Cubs spend money. I just think sometimes I don't know. Like, I think a lot of these big names come up and they're like the White Sox aren't even in the discussion. Not only because they have a history of knowing not to pay, but like people don't like people have complained about like the planes they take, the clubhouse, like they just have
Ownership.
yeah. Like, well, what again? I just think that's a little more the mom and pop of it, where I don't know if people want to go there. I don't know if we're looking to flags or franchise. But I think he's kind of changed. I think he wants to leave because when we were younger, he did go out. I mean, he wasn't getting the best of the best, but he would take a swing and go get Tomei, Manny Ramirez.
He was getting guys at the ends of their careers so he could sell tickets. That he wasn't spending money on those guys because he thought they brought any value to the franchise
Well, I think they did though.
other than putting butts in seats. That's all they did. Ken Griffey Jr., Jose Canseco, Jim Tomei, they were all at the ends of their
Oh yeah.
careers.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is like, yeah, those are the people we roll the dice want to spend money on. I don't think the White Sox are ever going to be in the running for like Shohei Ohtani. We kind of had a pipe when we had Ozzy. We had a pipeline to the Cubans, but that was really it. But we're not going to go like was Kyle Tucker going to sign with the White Sox even if we gave him 10 million more or like would he? Do you think Kyle Tucker would sign with the White Sox if we gave him 10 million more than the Cubs gave him?
There's a lot. Money's a hell of a fucking motivator when it
Well, I
comes
mean,
to that.
I know, but it would have to be crazy amount. We'd have to give him 100 million more than the Cubs
And that's just because of the reputation
Yeah.
of the franchise over the last 50, 60 years or whatever the case may be. It's a horrible reputation to
I
have.
agree. I think the
Like
only way to fix
how
it is the
like
young guys.
If you're Jerry Reinsdorf, how are you feeling right now watching the your crosstown rival, the Cubs, have the most exciting player in baseball right now? Like
I
that
got a
that's just
couple of them.
that's gotta be that's gotta be a kick in the nuts. And I'm a Sox fan, you're a Sox fan. I'm not a Cubs fan by any means. But PCA is just amazing to watch. He's fun to watch. He's a fun. You need that kind of shit in your organization, and the White Sox just don't have it. The Cubs have it right now in droves. They have a young, exciting team that is playing like a lot of people pick them to win the NL Central, sure, but they're playing above what their expectations
Oh
were,
yeah, big time.
especially missing, Jordan Steele, missing Imanaga, for an extended period of time. They're still winning. And that winning cures a lot of ailments. And right now for the Cubs, I want to say to the Cubs fans, that enjoy it because us Sox fans are going to be in futility for at least another 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, I mean,
So
unless like some stud emerges from the farm system, I think that's the only way the White Sox dig themselves out of it. We're not getting any free agents. Luis Roberts probably out the door soon. So one of these guys has got to blossom into the next PCA or I just reading. I didn't realize we were the ones we traded Tatis.
yeah, oh yeah,
I
we
forgot.
traded
Like
we traded Tatis for fucking Jake Peavy.
wow.
Jake fucking Peavy. We traded
Yeah, I was
Fernando.
reading a story about it. It was because they were afraid Robert Ventura was going to step down, so they wanted to go all in for the season. But it's just like hear stories like that, and that's like malpractice.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. For me, it just feels like he really just wants to get out of here. I'm like complaining about needing a new stadium. It's like, hey, we're not winning, and it's like
Just sell the team.
there's nothing wrong with our stadium. Like, what is wrong with
There's a
the name sucks now? But
multi-billionaire. There's a guy who's got Chicago ties who wants to buy the team. Just sell him the team. Just sell it. Let's get it over with. I can't. I mean, I can't watch Sox games right now anyway because I'm not gonna get a fucking analog antenna to hook up to my, TV or digital antenna or whatever it is to get the CH Go or whatever the
yeah,
fucking channel is or whatever. And it's not on YouTube TV, so I'm not gonna sit there and I'm not gonna do all that. But there's no reason for me to watch right now.
go
Like
out
I
of your
know
way and watch at least.
yeah, I know I'm a Sox fan and everything else like that, but there's Bleacher Report and ESPN for a reason. I can't spend my time watching that shit on TV. Will I go to a game? I'll go to a game. I'll take my, it's a good experience to, bring the family and stuff like that, especially now since it's so cheap. But I, it's tough, man. It's tough to put your hard-earned money into a product that is just shit and the owner just doesn't fucking care. He just doesn't care. So why would I spend money on that? I don't know. But
Yeah, well, not that much. I didn't want. I wanted to do another video so we can let you guys know we didn't forget about you and talk about a little bit of Chicago sports. But
yeah, we're still alive.
yes, we are still alive. Bears are still doing their thing. Jerry Reinsdorf is still running the White Sox and the Bulls into the ground. Um, but yeah, we will see you guys maybe in a week or two. Until training camp starts, we'll probably do one every other week. But like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. And like I said, we'll see you guys in a week or two. See you later, buddy.
All right, we'll see you.
Adios.